Look at that. You see that?
Ooh, look at that. Hello, welcome back to my channel. My name is Anthony. This is Barefaced Beauty.
Today I'm coming at you with
a makeup video. We're gonna be playing with a blush and highlight palette, one that I absolutely have been loving. So as you can see, I already have a base on. Pretty much everything on my face is done except blush and highlight.
Let me rub it off real quick.
So we're gonna be using the Diamond Blush palette by NATASHA Denona. This is in Darya, the 01 palette. So let me open this up for you. Excuse the glare, guys, but as you can see, it is a beautiful palette. It is kind of bright. This is definitely for somebody who likes blush and highlight, who likes color on their face. You'll see if you look online that there's two palettes that she does that are just like this. This is the first palette, and then she has one called Citrus, which is a little bit warmer, and I do have that one as well, but we're gonna play with this one today because this one happens to be my favorite of the two so far. Just so you guys know, this is on sale at Sephora right now for like $44.50 or something like that. It's half off pretty much. These used to be $90 for one palette, which is why I never had them, and I probably wouldn't suggest them if they're $90, but because they're half off, I definitely recommend them. They are really nice, and if you want to see how I apply them and wear them, stay tuned. As you can see with this palette, we have 6 pans. You're going to get 2 creams and 4 pressed powders. You're going to also get 2 blushes and 4 highlighters, okay? So this is the cream blush, powder blush. You have cream highlight, and then you have 3 different types of highlighters over here as well. So we're going to start with this cream blush because that's what NATASHA Denona does. And I'm going to actually take this Eco Tools beauty sponge, and as you can see, it is well loved. This is my blush sponge, so I'm going to take this, the bottom side, and we're going to go right into that blush shade. I forgot to mention that these do have a little plastic cover. As you can see right here, the plastic cover protects the cream from the powders, which is really nice. So you're going to go ahead, flip that plastic cover up, do a few small, 1, 2, 3. You don't need too much. Very pigmented. I probably grabbed way too much. And you're gonna go to town. So we're gonna start with this side. And as you can see, it's a very, very pretty color. Kind of almost like a lighter berry, like a medium berry shade. I don't know if I'm describing it right, but it's very pretty and it's very pigmented, as you can see. Let me put the brightness down a little bit because I'm sure that that's making it a little harder to see. But as you can see, it's very pigmented. It is like a berry shade, and it's very beautiful. It blends out smoothly. It's not patchy at all, as you can see. It just kind of melts into the skin. Granted, I do like a heavy blush application, so if you don't like a heavy blush application, you certainly do not have to put this much, but that's just kind of how I like it. You guys can see in my other videos, even I have like significant blush application. I don't know what that is. I'm not gonna go in again because I took so much the last time. I'm just gonna go on the other side and do the same thing. You can see on this side I kind of went a little ham, which again, I don't mind that for myself, but I'm still gonna blend this out a little bit more. I'm gonna blend this side out too, but for right now I'm just kind of placing the blush, and I do like to take it up on the temples a little bit. I'm going to actually take one of the flatter sides and press along where I put this blush just to kind of blend it out a little bit more. So even if it looks a little bit heavy right now to you, you'll see once we finish like the full NATASHA Denona way of using this palette, it's going to sheer out a little bit because we're going to go in with a few highlighters and it's not going to be as pigmented. But before we do that, we still have another blush to use. So now that we finished with the cream blush, we're going to go in with this powder blush. I'm going to go in with this blush right here. I'm going to go ahead and use this Morphe brush. I think this is just a powder brush. And we're going to do a few taps into that powder. You'll see that the powder doesn't really have a lot of fallout, which is nice compared to some of the other shades. So we're going to take this. I did a few little pats, nothing crazy, and we're going to start at the back. The reason we start at the back is because that is where it's going to probably be the most pigmented, because that's where we're first placing our brush. So I'd rather it be most pigmented towards the back than have like a bright pink spot on the center of my face. So I start with the back, kind of just lightly. In between these steps, I do like to take my sponge and just the same flat side that I used to blend out the blush and just hit around the edges. Make sure everything is as blended as it can be. If I didn't warn you already, this is gonna be like a pretty exaggerated look. This is not something that most people are gonna wanna do every day. But what I'm really showcasing is this palette and just what it can do if you want like a super blush highlight type of look. Wait till we're actually gonna go in with the cream highlighter first. That's this one right here. We're gonna go back in with the sponge. We're gonna find a side that we haven't used yet, which is gonna be this side, even though it's a little stained, don't judge me. And we're gonna go ahead and press into that cream highlight. So I grabbed a little bit, as you can see, and we're gonna hit right over the top of where that blush is. And this just melts right into the skin. You literally could use this if you want a more natural highlight on a day-to-day basis and be very satisfied. It is very pretty. The cream highlight doesn't accentuate your skin texture at all. As you can see, it's a very natural, very almost wet looking highlight. And today we're gonna use it kind of like a base for the other powder highlighters that we're gonna use. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the same on the other side. So pretty, so pretty. So now we get to go in with the powder highlighters, which are absolutely stunning. There's three powder highlighters, and when she uses this palette, she uses all three of them. So we're gonna do the same thing today. Again, you do not have to do this when you use something like this, but if you're kind of like me, why not? You know, if you're going out at night, I don't see why you wouldn't do something like this, because it's just gonna pop even in, you know, low light settings. So it's not for every situation, but there is a situation it's for, I promise you. We're gonna go in with this super cool highlight over here. As you can see, it's kind of like a purpley gold shade, very pretty. Again, sorry for the glare, guys. So we're gonna go in with that really pretty purple shade, and we might as well use a purple brush. No, I'm just kidding. I'm gonna use this Real Techniques brush. This is a setting brush actually. And I'm gonna, ooh, hold up. And I'm gonna just do a few pats in there. And the cool thing about this highlight is when you see it in person, it is quite intimidating just because it looks very purple, you know what I mean? But when you put it on your face, you'll see it doesn't actually sit on your face extremely purple. It kind of blends in and just gives this multi-dimensional kind of highlight, this duochrome type of highlight. So we're gonna go ahead, like I said, take a little bit. The way she used this highlight when I was watching her videos was a little bit more like loosely. She kind of was putting this all over the cheek area. She wasn't pinpointing this highlighter as much. And I would imagine that because it has a little bit of color, you could do that. You know what I mean? If it goes a little bit over the blush. And as you can see, guys and gals, it doesn't show up as purple, you know? It just gives you a nice glow. Do you need to add this on top? You don't. But if you have it, should you? You should. Again, just a really pretty glow. We're gonna go in with the next highlighter, which is this one here. So the first highlighter I used was called the Duo Glow highlighter, which makes sense because as you can see, it had the purple and gold. The second one I'm about to use that I just showed you is called the Glow Extreme highlighter. So this one is actually more of like what you would see in an everyday highlighter of the more higher end highlighters, as far as like the neutral color and how it performs on the skin very well. I think the difference is just that it's more neutral compared to obviously that purple gold one, which again, it doesn't show up very much as purple. But if you wanted like an option, or if you are more fair skinned maybe, you have an option for something that doesn't have purple in it. You know what I mean? Same purple brush, dip in there a few times. And this time I'm only gonna hit back here. I'm not gonna go up here, right? I already have more than enough glow up here, to be honest. I'm gonna hit back here and just up here the temples. So ooh, my hair is getting on my nerve, boy. Okay. Again, multi-dimensional. So now there's a little bit more of a highlight that recedes over here in this area. You see that? And again, since this is more neutral, more of like an everyday highlight, I feel comfortable putting this more so everywhere on my face. And it's not chunky or anything like that. Again, it just adds a little bit of dimension. It does look like there's maybe a few little glitters in there, but it's not anything crazy. And you probably can't even see it on camera. Now we're gonna go in with the very last highlight in this palette. This is probably the most unique highlight. Let me go ahead and show it to you real quick. So this highlighter right here. So that highlight right there is probably the most unique in the whole palette. It's called the Diamond Powder, and rightfully so. If you see it in person, and you can probably see it on camera as well when I show it, there's like fine pieces of glitter, or what they call diamond powder. It's just very fine glitter, and it kind of gives the real dimension out of all the highlighters. It is gonna add texture, guys. So you know, like if you have big pores, or if you have like bumps there and stuff like that, and you don't want to accentuate that, out of all the things in this palette, you definitely need to leave this highlighter alone, because this is going to accentuate texture. But for people who like a dramatic glow, people who don't mind the texture, which I don't mind, especially if it's targeted, which I'm going to show you where I put it in a second. But yeah, it's really pretty. It adds a very multi-dimensional look. And it's what takes this palette, I think, to the next level when you're looking at like blush highlighter palettes. So for this, I'm going to use a dual fiber brush, because I believe that's what I saw her using. I may be wrong, it's been a while, but I'm going to use this Real Techniques dual fiber brush. All these brushes you can get at Ulta, and I believe Walgreens too, just so you know. And the sponge, I believe you can get at Ulta as well. So we're going to take that powder, and this powder you don't want to like swirl around in the pan. This will give a lot more fallout. You'll see glitter everywhere. So I kind of just press lightly, you know, get what I need. So I grabbed some on my brush, and what I'm gonna do, guys, is I'm really only putting it back here and right there. I'm not gonna put it anywhere, kind of where I just put the other highlighter, because again, this is gonna add texture, and I only want that texture over here. I hope you guys can see what I'm talking about. You see that? As you guys can see, it's super reflective right there. It almost looks like metallic. And the reason it looks almost wet, right, is because of the micro glitters that are in this highlighter. And it just gives a very multi-dimensional, like I said. I feel like, I don't know if I'm showing it well, you know what I mean? I feel like I may have put too much highlight. But as you can see, it just goes from beaming to like a more subtle highlight up here, back to beaming. It follows the forehead. Just absolutely beautiful. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other side, zoomed in so you guys can see. Look at that. You see that? Absolutely beautiful. Sorry for all the hair in the way, guys. But you guys can see what that just did, right? Just added such a glow, such a sheen. It's much more metallic once you put this on, much more multi-dimensional. And in person, you look wet. You look absolutely wet. It's gorgeous. Definitely, let me zoom back out because I'm sure you guys don't want to be this close anymore. like I said, guys, this is definitely for somebody who, ooh, look at that, who enjoys blush and highlight. It's stunning, you know. Both of the palettes are beautiful. I do have the other palette. If you guys want to see what that looks like, I can show that to you as well. And I probably will, just because we're all bored at home anyway. But yeah, look at that, guys. Like, how would you be able to stop looking at yourself with a highlight like this? Every mirror you would walk by, you would be like, oh, definitely. If you've been having your eye on something like this, this is the time to go grab that, because it's only $44.50 compared to $90. Not that, you know, everybody should spend all their coin, but it's just being honest. If it's something you've been looking at, I definitely would recommend it. Alright guys, so that's my review on the Natasha Denona Darya Diamond and Blush palette. You guys can see for yourself, it is gorgeous. Definitely recommend this to all you guys who may have been looking at something like this, who want to try a Natasha Denona product, or yeah, or if you just like blush and highlight, like, why wouldn't you get this? Definitely recommend it. If you want to see me use the other palette, stay tuned. And yeah guys, I hope you're being safe, and I will have a VSG update later this week.